Nebulon, deceased. Real name, unknown. Occupation, prospector, guru, conqueror. Identity, his existence is known to but a handful of Earth beings. Legal status, citizen of Ulula. Other aliases, the Celestial Man. Place of birth, planet Ulula, Ul system, Milky Way. Place of death, Earth. Known relatives, Supernalia, wife, deceased. Group affiliation, former leader of the Celestial Mind Control Movement. First appearance, Defenders number 13. Final appearance, Avengers Annual number 11. History. Nebulon was a member of the alien Ululans, a race of 6-tentacled, finned, water-breathing non-humanoids who had begun to deplete the mineral resources of their homeworld. See Alien Races, Ululans. To remedy the situation, the Ululan High Tribunal dispatched an undisclosed number of prospectors to locate and secure worlds with the appropriate mineral resources for the race's survival. Possessing vast biosphere-tapping power and able to assume other forms, Nebulon took a glistening golden humanoid form when he neared star systems with humanoid populations. He was not, however, particularly successful at prospecting. Happening upon the misanthropic Hyperion, who had been imprisoned by the thunder god Thor in a glass sphere floating in space, see Hyperion, Nebulon rescued him and told him of his mission. Hyperion, eager for vengeance against the people of Earth for the imagined destruction of his world, offered to let Nebulon have Earth. Hyperion directed the Ululan, unaware of the alien's true form, to Earth and had him reorganize Hyperion's one-time comrades, the Squadron Sinister. Nebulon wished to take custody of the world with all of its land masses completely submerged underwater. To effect this, the squadron members pooled their resources to create a powerful laser cannon capable of melting Earth's ice caps. The squadron member Nighthawk was an unwilling accomplice to the proceedings, however, and took the first opportunity to summon help. Contacting the Defenders, Nighthawk outlined the nature of the crisis. The Defenders swiftly traveled to Earth's North Pole and engaged the squadron in battle. In the course of events, Nebulon expended so much energy that he lost control of his humanoid form and allowed his allies and enemies to see his true form, a sight that dismayed even his allies. Nighthawk seized this moment of confusion to train the laser cannon on Nebulon. The cannon's power was beyond Nebulon's capacity to absorb in his weakened state outside water, and he seemingly imploded, taking along his 3 squadron accomplices. In actuality, Nebulon dispatched himself to the aquatic extra-dimensional world called Zar, inhabited by a race of philosophers called the Ludbarites. The Ludbarites explained to Nebulon the essence of their philosophy, i.e., that it is the obligation of higher beings to improve the lot of their inferiors. For unknown reasons, Nebulon took this philosophy to heart, severed his loyalties to his people, and abandoned his original mission to undertake a new one, to save the beings of Earth from their own innate foibles. Returning to Earth, Nebulon assumed a less imposing human guise than before and started a movement called Celestial Mind Control, which promised to liberate the powers of the human mind, but actually robbed its participants of their free will. As Nebulon began to spread his movement across the world, the Defenders became aware that he was its founder and tried to thwart him. Nebulon was forced to dispatch some of the Defenders to another dimension at one point to prevent their interference. At the same time as Nebulon's movement became worldwide in scope, the Headmen, a group of renegade scientists, see Headmen, undertook their own scheme to gain worldwide political power. Soon, Nebulon and the headmen found themselves working at cross purposes. After months of effort, the defenders managed to expose the headmen's political machinations and to convince Nebulon it was a hopeless task to force humanity to better itself. Nebulon abandoned his mass movement and disappeared. When the Tribunal of Ulula learned of Nebulon's interference in Earth culture and abandonment of his mission, it tried and convicted Nebulon for treason against his race. But before he could be taken captive, Nebulon fled into Earth's ocean, where he used his shape-changing abilities to assume the form of Lady Dorma, the deceased bride of the Submariner, Prince of Atlantis. Convincing the Atlanteans that Dorma had survived, Nebulon used her popularity, as well as his own powers, to convince the Atlanteans to attack London. The defenders got involved since the Submariner was one of their old colleagues and uncovered Nebulon's deception. Soon afterward, an Ululan starcraft appeared and took custody of Nebulon. Nebulon was sentenced to be stripped of half his biospheric power and trapped within his humanoid form and exiled on Earth. The tribunal suggested to Nebulon that he commit suicide, the honorable alternative to disgrace according to their culture, but Nebulon flatly refused. Learning of Nebulon's dishonor, Nebulon's wife, Supernalia, traveled to Earth to force him to take the honorable action. Nebulon had, in the meantime, inveigled his way into the ranks of the Avengers, with the hidden goal of using his technology to siphon from them the power to replace that which he had lost. To combat her husband and his powerful allies, Supernalia enlisted the aid of the Defenders, her husband's longtime foes, and soon the two teams of champions were manipulated into battle. By the time Nebulon's motives were revealed, the Earth heroes were already being drained of their energies. Supernalia was made to realize that her actions on Earth also constituted a violation of her people's ethics, and so she chose to commit suicide. In trying to stop her, Nebulon fell victim to the same energy-draining ray that was killing his wife. As Nebulon died, he admitted that at last he was acting honorably. The Avengers and Defenders buried the aliens where they died in the snowy Himalayan mountains. Height, as humanoid, 6 feet 2 inches. True form, 10 feet 3 inches. Weight, both forms, 1,150 pounds. Earth gravity. Eyes, as humanoid, white. True form, red. Hair, as humanoid, silver. True form, none. Powers. Nebulon possessed a number of superhumanoid powers which drew upon the biospheric energy of planets. Nebulon could manipulate energy for a variety of effects, including the creation of spheres, shields, or energy bolts. The amount of concussive force Nebulon was capable of projecting is not known. It was sufficient, however, to stagger the Hulk. Nebulon could also teleport across the surface of a planet and between dimensions. Since his powers derived from the life energy of a world, they waned whenever he was no longer in proximity to a planet. Hence, he could not teleport across interplanetary or interstellar space. If Nebulon were to go without contact with a biosphere long enough, his power level would be no more than that of a normal human being. Nebulon also possessed the ability to shape-change into virtually any form. Because the transformation process was so strenuous, Nebulon did not undertake it often. The Ululans were not as adept at shape-shifting as the Skrulls. See, Skrulls. They could not perform it as fast as the Skrulls or make as close a facsimile of another being. Nebulon was more gifted at this ability than the average Ululan.